Hello and welcome to Matiq News. I'm Ava.
And I'm Akash.
Today, we begin episode 2, Feeding a Nation, Cooperation During the Green Revolution.
This is the story of a young nation facing hunger, dependence, and hard choices, and how science, feeds, and cooperation reshaped India's future
From food aid and foreign pressure
to self-sufficiency and sovereignty.
The 1950s felt like a promise that hadn't arrived yet. India was young, hopeful, and painfully hungry. Imagine entire towns holding their breath for the monsoon, for a single crop to defy the weather a family eats.
It wasn't poetic exaggeration. By 1960, India was importing nearly 10 million tons of grain a year, much of it coming from the United States under the PL-480 food program. Ships of wheat arrived at Mumbai and Chennai stamped, "Gift of the people of the United States."
Gift or wish? And people said yes, but there's always politics to that, right?
Exactly. For many, it was generosity. For others, dependence. PL-480 saved lives, Jim, but it also tethered Indiana
to Washington's calendar. Under President Lyndon Johnson's approach, shipments became almost ship to mouth, approved month to month, often influenced by political alignment and how food distribution was managed.
That sounds humiliating.
For New Delhi, it was. Sovereignty isn't only the right to vote, it's the right to feed your people without someone else setting the kind table.
And from that uneasy dependence came the Green Revolution.
Out of tension often comes invention.
Enter Norley Borlaug, the American agronomist whose work in Mexico produced high-yield, disease-resistant wheat. India invited him in 1963, not as a political envoy, but as a scientist. He arrived quietly and began testing dwarf wheat strains in Punjab and Haryana.
So it was the seed and with irrigation, fertilizers, training.
Yes, the feed was the spark, but the system made the fire. Improved irrigation, better fertilizers, training for farmers, and extension services. It was a package deal. American land, Brant universities, places like Kansas State and Iowa State trained Indian agronomists. Field trials were meticulous. Data, tests, observation, and then more data.
And then the numbers changed?
Staggeringly. By 1970, India's wheat production had nearly doubled. By 1974, the country stopped depending
on US game shipments. For the first time in modern history,
India could feed itself.
From near starvation to self-sufficiency in a decade.
That must have felt like reclaiming dignity.
Food security is sovereignty. When a nation feeds itself, it can act from a place of agency. The Green Revolution didn't just free granaries. It changed India's posture on the world stage.
But revolutions have costs. Heard about environmental strain and inequality.
True. The gains were uneven. Larger landowners benefited first. They had access to irrigation and capital. Small holders lagged. Intensive fertilizer use increased yields,
but also began to degrade soils and strain water tables.
These tensions became debates about sustainability, equity, and the long view of development.
So it wasn't a fairy tale. It was complicated.
All major changes are. Yet even critiques mark a shift. India moved from reacting to foreign aid
to negotiating, to technical collaboration. The Green Revolution became a blueprint for development diplomacy, influence expressed through expertise rather than just aid packages.
What did Washington see then?
A partner worth engaging with differently. The narrative shifted in Washington's halls from "we must prop them up" to "we can cooperate to solve shared problems." It softened ideological debates when science had practical, visible outcomes. More food, lower famine risk, social stability.
And on the ground, in villages and labs, what did that look like?
It looked like Indian scientists in dusty desk plots at dawn, adjusting irrigation schedules. It looked like extension
officers knocking on farmer gates to explain planting depths. It looked like students returning from American universities.
carrying new hybrid knowledge. It looked like women's kitchens.
where a fuller harvest meant a child going to school instead of working the fields.
So these were lives changing quietly, slowly, in ways statistics can't fully capture.
Yes, exactly. The Green Revolution's story is data and human story braided together.
Were there broader geopolitical effects?
Yes, yes. As India gained confidence in feeding itself, it gained bargaining power. Food was no longer a lever that could be called to influence domestic diplomacy. Diplomacy found new channels: scientific exchange, technical cooperation, joint research. That redefined how the two countries interacted.
There's something poetic in the idea that feeds, not speeches, go to bridge.
It is poetic, but it was also deliberate hard work, years of trials, failed crops, conversations with skeptical farmers, and stubborn scientists who believed a wheat strain could change a nation's destiny.
And yet, the revolution's complications remind us that solutions must be ethical and sustainable.
Yes, the Green Revolution solved an existential crisis and birthed new questions about equity and ecology. It taught both nations that cooperation can be powerful, but it must be wise. Science can be the language of trust, but trust must be paired with responsibility.
From the wheat fields of Punjab to research labs in the Midwest, science reimagined relationship. And for the people at the center of it all, it simply meant
A fuller plate and a firmer step into the future.
In our next episode, we'll follow how that scientific bridge expanded from farms to factories.
and how economic development remapped ties between Delhi and Washington.
The Green Revolution didn't just change agriculture, it changed how India stood in the world.
It proved that cooperation rooted in knowledge can be more powerful than aid rooted in dependence.
If you found value in this episode, like, share, and subscribe to Matiq News, and it helps us bring more stories like this to you.
In our next episode, we move into a divided world. Episode 3, Cold Wars and Warm Promises India between two worlds.
Where neutrality, pressure, and power collide during the Cold War.
Like, share, and subscribe to Matiq News. And thank you for listening.